everyone, and welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Oliver.
And Oliver's with me once again to talk Superman, and today we're going to be watching and talking about Superman 3. So, Oliver, this will be interesting.
It will be indeed.
This will be unlike anything I've ever done a commentary on, and I have to say, this is not one I've seen as many times as the others. In fact, I think I've even seen Superman 4 more times than I've seen this.
Really? Oh, God. I watch Superman 3 quite a lot, but usually it has to involve a lot of drinking. Yeah.
Oh,
you have to be drunk to see Superman 3.
I'm on the wrong direction. I'm drinking a caffeinated beverage. So if you've never listened to one of these with us before, odd that you're starting with Superman 3, but I won't judge. You can listen to this while watching the film or not watching the film. What we do is we do a podcast and a commentary simultaneously, and we will try to provide plenty of context for what we're talking about if you decide to just listen to this track. But of course, it's more fun to watch it with the movie, so pull out, if you have it and want to, your Blu-ray or your DVD or however you want to watch this, and get it past the menus and everything, get it to timestamp 0 and press play as soon as I say now. You ready, Oliver?
I am indeed.
All right, here we go. Everybody press play right now. Oliver, do you have these on Blu-ray yet?
Oh yeah, I'm watching this on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Superman 3 does look very good in high definition. Yeah, it's a very good transfer.
Big, Blu-ray box set for all the Superman films?
There is, yeah, a big anthology set. I think it came out last year. I think it was. Now, it's a perfect start for a Superman film, isn't it? In a job center.
Yeah, you sure know right away that you're watching a Superman movie. So what do you think of Richard Pryor?
He's a fantastic comedian. I've watched his stand-up. And also some of his, early 80s sort of comedy films. But to put him in a Superman film was a very bizarre idea. Obviously, I think he was just on some Tonight Show with whatever host and said, he watched Superman the movie at the cinema and loved it and sort of reenacted scenes to the audience. And obviously someone watching it thought, wow, he must be, we should put him in a Superman film. And obviously I think either one of the producers or someone from DC Comics, who knows, or Warner Brothers thought he would be good in a Superman film.
I wonder what their initial vision was and if it was anything like what it turned into. Like when you're thinking, hey, let's put Richard Pryor in a Superman film, are you thinking, let's take Superman in more of a comedic direction, or are you thinking, let's just cast him and see if he can do drama? Well,
yeah, because Richard Pryor was frustrated because he wanted to be taken seriously, and the director, Richard Lester, was like, was trying to play up his strengths as a comedian and try and make him be more funny on camera, but he wanted to try and play a lot of it quite straight and stay close to the script. So there isn't, because it isn't really, a lot of his performance isn't as funny as his other stuff, because he's trying to stay faithful to the story and not adding much improv.
And that's really ironic. I've never heard that, because a lot of the people who really dog on this film, and of course that's probably the majority of the people that saw this film. Or not that saw it, but the criticism was bad, and I think probably a lot of those people said that Richard Pryor was the reason this movie didn't work, and you're saying that he's saying they're trying to make it a Superman film. Yes,
that's right.
It's very interesting.
I mean, the director, tried his best to try and make Richard Pryor funny, but, if the material isn't there, because the script isn't really that funny, David and I don't know why the Soulkinds relied on the David and Leslie Newman for their Superman scripts. Because they're pretty generic. This is all complete. Obviously, this whole sequence is setting the tone, isn't it, of the whole film.
That's right, and we should not be surprised that this is being put together by the guy that put together the action scene from the end of Superman 2, where we were laughing at all the
Cellophane S.
Yeah, well, not just that, but like I'm referring more to the big scene in the middle of the city where they're blowing everybody down, and you got the guy that's like losing his hot dog, and
lost his
you got
wig,
yeah, and the guy that's my favorite is the guy that's still talking on the phone while the phone booth falls over. That's the best. So anyway, this is just more of that, except the city's not being attacked by anyone.
That's right. I mean, this isn't even like New York. This is like Canada. They shot this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because all of Smallville was like Calgary, I think, isn't it?
Well, isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Considering the fact that that the series Smallville was shot in Vancouver.
Oh, right. Because everything's done like in like Canada because there's like no unions. You can do things cheap.
Annette O'Toole got to Smallville and she was like, "Oh, I'm right at home. I'm in Canada again."
Yeah.
I like that at least Clark Kent is in this opening montage.
Yeah, I love this bit. He rips out the paper. He's got half the paper, but he still takes it. Christopher Reeve is very good at comedy as well. He can do the comedic scenes effortlessly.
This is all just so bizarre, and you got like toy penguins and like.
I suppose he's trying to sort of visualize like the hectic chaos world of Metropolis, but it's all just played for laughs. I mean, it could have been taken seriously where Superman's running around doing everything really quickly, trying to save everyone.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think maybe also since they know they want to go in somewhat more of a campy direction, they're kind of setting the stage for this is sort of like traditional goofy comic book world. This is not going to look like the real world. So we'll do a montage to show you how we can do anything we freaking want to.
Exactly. But did you see it on TV, Superman 3? Because it had a different... The TV cut in America during the mid to late 80s, it had the title sequence in space.
Oh no, I've not seen that.
So all these sort of Star Wars style titles are all in space. It's all done in pan and scan. It wasn't done for widescreen. And this whole sequence had all the credits removed, but it still had the opening title sequence like in Superman style. So that's a lot of people grew up with that version of Superman 3. So it's quite bizarre that they, changed it all, but it happened. So obviously it was extended for TV. But a lot of the scenes they extended were just more scenes of Richard Pryor, which weren't funny. I used to love this bit as a kid.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that a lot, where...
He's like, I'll give you the bottom photo. He's got
pictures of himself becoming Superman.
Yeah.
That is a fun bit, yeah.
I love this scene because he flies over the traffic as well. It's, it's good in-camera stuff. It's Superman doing... his usual stick,
I think if you go into this movie expecting the epicness that you got in the first and even the second film, obviously you're going to be disappointed. But that's not to say that there's nothing here at all.
I always like to say to my friends, take out all the Richard Pryor stuff, and the rest of Superman 3 is pretty good. Because I like, the Smallville stuff's is entertaining. Him turning evil, even though it's a bit silly, but we'll get to that. And the computer,
we'll get there.
I think
it's a huge missed opportunity. I think seeing Superman become evil is great. Not having any good reason to do it is not great.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting if they had like Bizarro in this,
Sure, yeah.
But it's kind of weird that I don't think Bizarro would fit in this sort of Christopher Reeve universe. It would seem a bit out of place. I don't know. It just
I think he would need some kind of a different kind of origin, and then
yeah.
And I mean, well, not to say that there aren't like 4 or 5 or 6 different Bizarro origins. I mean, he's been a lot of different things, but like he would have to be created by a mad scientist or something.
Yeah, it would have to be essentially watered down to make it.
You wouldn't actually go to like Bizarro World or something. You wouldn't want to see Mxyzptlk in this universe.
No, it'd be weird.
Anything like that. But I do think there are a lot of things you could get away with.
Yeah.
In this universe, I still think you could have done Brainiac here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think Ilya Sarkine said he came up with this treatment for an idea for Superman 3. I think it had Brainiac in it and Mystic Pitlick or something like that. I think maybe Supergirl. But Warner Brothers said no, didn't want that idea. But he said that this new idea, like 20 years later, so he could have just made it up and just said to fans recently, you know what I mean? Because they always say that with films. Like Michael Keaton wanted to do a serious take on Batman for the third one, but he said that recently, last 20 years, he didn't talk about it. It's like,
plus everything I've ever heard Keaton say was he didn't even know if he wanted to come back for the second one.
Yeah, exactly. So
that doesn't make any sense at all.
Exactly.
And he seemed really uncomfortable on the set for Batman Returns because he doesn't even like doing sequels. That's a guy who doesn't want to play the same role twice.
He's talking rubbish.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's also kind of a psychology thing where people are told something for so long that they start remembering it wrong?
Yes, I think that.
I think that happens sometimes too.
Yeah. Oh, another reshot, and another, a shot from Superman the movie, just thrown in. Daily Planet.
Oh, well done, Perry White. Way to set up the supervillain that's not really a supervillain at all and not anything like
the man from U.N.C.L.E.
Job. Where I love how he's introduced in a black and white photo as the guy in the suit that shouldn't be menacing at all. And then like it would never occur to you, oh, that's going to be our villain for the movie. Then you get to him, you're like, oh, and that's going to be our villain for the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of, sorry, I was distracted by something. I do think, Superman versus like big corporation kind of thing could potentially work.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I almost think it needs to be part of like a grander plan or something. Because I mean, you're talking about, like most of your Batman plots, even in the movies, are like more grandiose than this. And we've got the most powerful person on Earth having to deal with this situation. You know what I mean? Yeah, we got an evil computer at the end that can create anything, but we needed that earlier.
Yeah, because the rest of the movie is, there's a couple of action set pieces, but they're very few and far between. So it comes more about, Richard Pryor's exploits, and Superman is essentially a supporting character in this film.
Right.
But also, one thing actually with Christopher Reeve's performance, because I think over the sequels he gets more relaxed as Clark and a little bit more confident. Because in this whole scene here, he seems a lot more confident than he usually does, especially in number 1 and 2, where he's a bit more nervous.
Sure.
And that's by number 4, he's very he's more like the George Reed's Clark Kent. He's more confident. But this, as you're saying, about the whole ending with this big computer, they could have done far more. I mean, it just seems very bizarre that at the time, you've got. I think they just thought differently about sequels back then. I don't know. Don't seem to be very creative with their ideas. They've got some original ideas, because you've got dealing with computers at the time. There was computers. I think 83 is when the computer crash of the 80s, with Atari and things like that. Sure. But this would have been written in 82, so Tron had just came out, and everyone was going computer nuts. So it's capturing something that's popular at the time.
Yeah, and it's trying to do some social commentary about it, and I appreciate that attempt, but overall, you're talking about how the script is just kind of generic. This feels like a script for an episode of a long-running TV show.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's another exploit, and it's a lesser exploit. And we're not thinking about escalation. We're not thinking, well, last time we did Zod, how do we top that? Now we're just thinking, well, we have an established universe and we need to tell a story, and so we're going to make it a star vehicle for Richard Pryor because we've kind of already done the Superman thing, but we still want to make another one.
It just shows they just have not much faith in Superman, the producers. Superman can sell the film. It shouldn't be a comedian who's popular at the time to sell it.
Exactly.
Superman sells it. People go to see Superman. And Christopher Reeve, at that point, he's A-list at that time. He was huge.
Yeah.
So, he took quite a lot of money for this. But I think Richard Pryor got paid more than him, but Christopher Reeve got top billing.
And I don't think you want to take out your whole supporting cast that all of your viewers have grown to appreciate and like and want to see again. How is anybody who's invested in the first two films not disappointed when everybody else is just kind of cameo? I mean, Jimmy Olsen gets more to do than Lois Lane.
Yeah, that's right.
I think, you mentioned Supergirl earlier. I think it might have been neat, and this is in hindsight, naturally. Yeah. But I think it might have been neat if this had been a film to set her up before she got her own.
That would have been interesting, yeah.
And I think her film would have been a lot stronger. Well, it wouldn't be hard to make her film a lot stronger, but her film could have been great if she was somebody we already knew and we didn't have to deal with her origin. And she was just there.
That's right.
And what I would have done with it, again, this is in hindsight, what I would have done with it is I would have had your evil Superman have to be taken out by Supergirl.
Yeah, that'd be really good. I mean, now obviously they'd be a lot more creative. I think back then it just seemed like, just get the script done, just make sure Richard Pryor's in it, make sure he's funny, and just, I mean, it's kind of like some of the ideas they put in, like the computer at the end, the big cyborg woman turns into a cyborg, were sort of ideas thrown in at the last minute, to sort of, let's throw this in, let's add this little bit into the film. But as a film, I mean, I don't think it's an awful film. I mean, I think it's certainly better than some sort of, superhero films get to the third one or fourth one and they're generally very bad.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think this movie doesn't work because it's a third film and they're out of ideas. I think it doesn't work because they just went in a bizarre direction.
Yeah. I see it as like a James Bond film. See it as a standalone Superman film. Don't worry about connecting it to the prequels or the follow-up. Just its own entity, its own product. And if you look at it like that, it's not as bad as it is. But if you put it into the series, then it's a problem.
Yeah, and I don't think you can look at it in any way but a comedy, really. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think it works on a dramatic level very often. At least not for me. I feel like they have so many missed opportunities, and there are a lot of like non sequiturs. There's a lot of things that happen that are supposed to be really dramatic, but there are no character motivations to back it up. So
there's like little nuggets of like emotional bits and
that's right.
Scenes where you think, I feel, drawn to this character, and you feel, emotional through some scenes, but it's very small bits. And with the first one, there's a huge, you're invested in it, but into the end, emotionally. And the second one as well, there's a bit where, he's losing his powers and stuff and getting beaten up. But in this one, there isn't much to it. He turns evil, but you sort of feel sorry for him. And there's a sort of the romance that never really blossoms between Lana and Clark is sort of lost at the end. And it could have been something more stronger.
Yeah, and the one character that really gets an arc, I mean, they try to play up Superman like he's got a character arc in this, but because he gets kind of not really mind controlled, but you know what I mean? He's not himself. It's funny that this is the most Smallville of the Superman movies, and some of it takes place in Smallville. I think that's very apropos.
Yeah.
Because there's so many Smallville episodes where we're supposed to just be enjoying that characters are not being themselves, but there's no character development there because by the end everything gets reset back to status quo, and there's nothing to progress those characters that comes out of them being different. Same thing happens here with Superman. The only character in this movie that really gets a character arc is Richard Pryor's character, and I don't think he's unsympathetic. I do kind of care about him as the movie goes along, but we'll see when you get to the end of the film, they kind of hit the reset button on him too.
Yeah, I know. It's like the villain of the week in X-Files episode. You get like it's the random episode with this like alien in it or something, and it doesn't continue on. It's just a one-off episode, like Smallville was one episode of the week where someone's infected by kryptonite. Then at the end of the episode, it's all back to normal.
Yeah. At the end of the episode, it'd be better if you got to the end of this and everything was changed, and then they just forgot about it in the next movie. But at least for the sake of this story, there was a point to all of it. There was a payoff. I feel like the final scene of this movie, and we'll talk about it when we get there, kind of undoes what little was here to begin with.
That's right.
That's just how I feel about it.
In terms of a technical level, I mean, this film is very confidently made. The production levels are very good. I mean, it's not a cheap film at all. It's got great DP. It's got obviously the same people from Superman 2. I mean, the action. I mean, in comparison to the first film, the action it's very well blocked out. All the shots look fantastic, but it's not as exciting as Superman the movie in terms of its editing. I don't think it's very traditional action editing. There's nothing super fast paced about it.
Yeah, and I think the pacing overall in this movie is...
It feels a bit dated. I think it feels a bit dated even by then, I think, really.
Yeah, it's really sluggish. I mean, it really comes off like a movie that doesn't have enough ideas to push it forward, so it's got to linger on shots.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, you've got an editor who doesn't really like editing action, If you look, 83, look at the end sequence of Return of the Jedi, the editing is really good. Really fast paced, but there isn't much energy to the visuals.
Yeah, well, and I feel like there's a lot of energy in the action scenes in the first Superman film, and some people feel like that movie's really slow just because so much of it is origin stuff, so much of it is Clark Kent growing up and all of that. But like when you're just talking about the pacing of the shots of the actual scenes, not just the story, it's so much faster paced than this.
Oh yeah, I mean, because the editor of Superman movies, Stuart Baird, is edited Skyfall, so he's one of the best in the business. And Superman's the movies editing was I think ahead of its time, like Star Wars was. He won an Academy Award for its editing. That film was saved by its editing. And this film, it's kind of like it's taken a step back. It's very traditional, just sort of 1970s style editing.
I agree with you, yeah. That's really interesting. I mean, this film almost feels, now you say that, it almost feels more 70s than the first one.
Yeah.
Which was a film that came out in 1970.
And this is 83, so you look at other films during that year, I mean, you get some really sort of creative pieces of work and really sort of, a lot of editing with a lot of flair, but this, seems a little bit dated. But it doesn't distract you from your the entertainment value. I mean, it's still entertaining.
Yeah, this is a movie I bring up all the time, but to put it in perspective, I feel the need to say that Wrath of Khan came out in 82.
Yeah, so yeah.
And then you look at this. I mean, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, yeah.
Just with the pacing of the editing.
This whole film is kind of like everyone's just done it for the paycheck, basically.
Yeah,
just get it done. Because
you're right, it kind of comes off like that.
Because we've had a contract, you had to do Superman 3, so I don't think.
But I don't feel like Christopher Reeve is phoning it in either.
No, not at all. No, he gives it. Yeah, he gives one of his best performances at the series because he's in fantastic shape. I think he looks his best in this. And he's.
There's a lot of application for what he's doing right now, man. How often, like how many things can you think of you could do with a giant lake of ice?
He's got like a giant breath mint. He's gonna throw down.
Yeah, I actually really like that. I think that's funny.
He's quite inventive. I like that.
Yeah.
I remember I've got the Mad magazine of this, and he obviously freezes the lake and he drops it, and all these fish hit the fireman on the head. That's quite funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I feel bad for all the fish that he just killed.
Yeah.
They froze to death. They had to have. What do you think of the soundtrack in this movie?
I think it's really good. I mean, because obviously I've met the composer and stuff. He didn't really like writing the material for Richard Pryor's character, the theme. He sort of just wasn't interested really in it. He was given a lot more free rein on this film. So but also it's because this film's tone is very uneven. Because later on we get to it when he turns evil, it's very dark, and then you got the cyborg lady, and you got the comedy, and
it's just kind of all over the map.
So trying to compose a score to quite an uneven film, you end up with a slightly uneven soundtrack. It doesn't say the soundtrack's bad at all. No, not at all. But it's more original material in this soundtrack than Superman 2, which essentially just re-orchestrating existing music and making it fit some of the scenes. But I think that when Superman, there's some great moments of music in this film when Superman turns back into Superman at the end. He's good again. The music there is fantastic.
Well, and I think you make a really good point that maybe sometimes a score isn't the best score, not because of the composer, but because of what they had to work with. You have to score the material you have. How ridiculous would it be if you had this super, super epic soundtrack for this movie? It wouldn't make any sense. You couldn't take all of that score from Superman 2 and just play it in this film. It wouldn't make any sense.
Because there's a lot of scenes because it's just relying on comedy, but you don't really score comedy really, apart from the montage at the beginning, which is essentially...
It's usually better not to, yeah.
Yeah. So he's had to pick his moments very carefully to add music, and some of the best music is between Clark and Lana. He composed a new love theme, essentially, and he plays in like the cornfield sequence where they have their picnic.
So you look at Annette O'Toole here in 1982, and then you look at her in Smallville in 2001, and this is a lady who aged really, really well.
Yes, she did.
And she still looks great for her age.
Oh, yeah.
I think Annette O'Toole is a fantastic actress.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's also a huge fan of Superman, wasn't she?
Yeah, she is. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a lot of fun to see her play an airhead here. Because I've seen her in enough other stuff that, like, she's not an airhead at all, and she's obviously really enjoying playing that.
No, yes.
It's like
it's a guy that plates instead of like the records as well.
Now, I do think it's kind of unfortunate that they played up Lana as somewhat of an airhead, or at least that's how I kind of see the character here.
Well, she's supposed to be a bit of a,
not comic book wise.
Oh, okay.
Or at least not from what I've read. Now, to be fair, I don't know what she was like in the 70s.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to rack my mind.
I've read enough Silver Age Superman to know. That's the thing, is that it's so easy to look at stuff post, like, Crisis and things and say, well, I know what this character is. Well, you know what? I know what this character became. I don't know exactly what she was written to be back during, say, like, you know, the Superman family days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, a guy we're supposed to hate. I hate him already. Yeah. Well done, film. Good job.
No one likes Brad.
Because Brad is a great jerk face guy name.
If
anyone listening who's not a jerk face and your name is Brad, I apologize for that statement. That was unfair.
Oh, I love this little bit here because now she's obviously asked Clark to dance with him, but he dances really funny before the music kicks in, or the slow music kicks in.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, he just shows how good he is, Chris Reeve is. He's good at comedy. Oh, God.
And I think part of the reason that you find yourself wishing that you were focusing more... Oh, this is Back to the Future. Okay, no,
Yeah.
So
this
Clark
is before Back to the Future, so this film inspired Back to the Future.
So, like, Clark's dancing and then suddenly his hand starts to disappear.
Yeah.
But no, I think part of the reason that you really want to see Clark Kent and Superman more in this film, besides the fact that, well, his name's in the title, is because Christopher Reeve is turning in a great performance. So every time you see him on screen, I find myself at least kind of breathing a sigh of relief. Oh, great, we came back to Superman, you know? And, And so, like, it's a testament to Christopher Reeve that he's not just phoning this in, like I said before.
Not at all, no.
He's like, he seems to be enjoying himself. It's almost like like you said, he's more relaxed here. And I don't know if the actor is more relaxed or if he has made the conscious decision that I've got a Superman that now is established. We're well past origin. Let's have him be really used to all this now. He's been around for a few years.
Oh yeah. I think personally with Chris Reeve, I mean, he's done a few more films. He felt obviously a lot more confident, and you can see on camera, he's very confident. But
and he's still built up like he was in 2.
Yeah. Well, I think Superman 2, he's more buff, but in this one, I think it seems a lot more toned. But he seems in better shape. But this whole scene here, this is one of the scenes where, because we said earlier about the nuggets of bits of, you know, emotional scenes and a bit of tension or whatever. But this scene is a very well directed scene. It's all done in one shot. This is a moment that shows good signs of a director, and I mean, this is where she obviously asks Clark, you know, if he got married before, and he's like, no. But there's that sort of, you know, connection between them two. I think works really well on camera.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's kind of interesting to see Clark Kent have to play off of another woman because we're so used to him with Lois Lane. I mean, if Lois has to be taken out of this movie, at least it was to have him go back to Smallville. That makes sense.
And he plays Clark from Smallville. He doesn't play Clark from Metropolis. Great
point.
So he's playing another version of Clark. Is the Clark I like a lot because he just seems a little bit more confident and a little bit more.
And genuine. I think I would make the case that this is the Clark Kent that he wants to be all the time if he could.
Yeah.
You know, like this is what Superman would be like if he didn't have to wear a costume.
Yes. Obviously, Christopher Reeve plays the piano now himself because I think he's a pretty good pianist.
Clark, why would you go play Earth Angel on the piano when you just lost your hand? Oh. Class is 65.
So they've got the photo wrong, haven't they? They should be using a photo of the guy from Superman the movie.
Yeah.
So they use a young photo of Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. My dad was born in 1965.
Oh, wow.
Everybody cower in fear! Here's our villain! He's terrifying! Look at that suit! Cower in terror!
There's a lot of grey, isn't there?
You know, evil guys in the 80s wear grey suits.
But that's a wicked set, though. I mean, look how big it is. It's huge. But it's metallic grey.
That's irritating, because I'd love to see, like, Lex Luthor in this set, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm not saying that we needed another Lex Luthor movie, and we're going to get that anyway. But,
yeah.
But I'm just saying that, I mean, like, this looks like... Okay, this was still kind of pre-corporate tycoon Lex Luthor. And it's really interesting that we've got a guy that's kind of in that mold here.
Yeah. Another version of Lex Luthor, essentially.
Yeah, and it'd just be really nice if they weren't playing this all up for comedy, because it worked with Gene Hackman in a way it doesn't work here.
Yes. But it's also like, it's kind of like a Bond villain as well. This, like,
good point.
Crazy sort of, like, huge set, you know. Luxurious design.
This is such a boring script.
There's only one bit that comes up that's quite funny, because he says, you know, he has to be a complete and utter moron, you know, and you see, like, Richard Pryor pull up in a Ferrari. And that's actually a good gag, and it works.
Why is she wearing a shirt with cherries?
Oh,
like it's not, and if I'm looking at it right, the cherries aren't even printed on the t-shirt.
No, they're sort of hanging off, aren't they?
Hanging off, it's weird. He's just ready for Pac-Man to come and eat her.
It's 80s fashion.
Look at that car.
He just parks right in the middle of the road.
It's actually kind of a neat car.
The best parking ever. Look at that.
Best parking ever! Richard Pryor, cower in fear that you just had a terrible parking job in front of the super villain's hideout. Not hiding out.
He's getting smarter every minute. Now, this is a good scene as well. I mean, all the moments with, you know, Lana and Clark are great. I mean, because Clark's essentially playing sort of like the fatherly figure, isn't he?
Yeah.
To Ricky, the little annoying kid who can't act his way out of a paper bag.
That's true. And again, nothing's done with that, really, if I'm remembering right. Again, I haven't seen this movie that many times, but if I'm remembering right, like you have a touch of that, you know, where you got the sense that Clark kind of would like to maybe be a dad, and he could sort of see maybe getting with Lana and you know, being a father.
Yeah.
But that's not really a thematically played with idea. It's just sort of established and then nothing's done with it.
Yeah, I know. There's loads of good little moments that just trail off and don't go anywhere. I mean, it's got nice ideas in this film. Yeah,
it's just there's not a focus to it is the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
It just can't decide what it wants to focus on.
Yes.
You know, there's also a scene in a Smallville episode that takes place in a bowling alley.
Really? But does he sneeze and blow the bowling?
No, he doesn't. He throws a bowling ball at a bad guy in bullet time.
Ugh.
Yep, that happened.
It's better than this. He sneezes. So he's got, because he's all acting confident and he trips over it. That's a typical Clark moment. But now, if you see someone sneeze and the bowling ball ends up destroying all the pins, you'd be like, okay, are you Superman?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be okay with he sneezes and then all the pins fall down. But look, if every pin broke into splinters, that would be national freaking news.
Yeah. I mean, that annoyed me as a kid. Even when I was like 7, I was like, That's not right.
I hate stuff like that in movies like this. At the same time, you could argue, if you really wanted to take up for this film, that we had this establishing montage that showed that this is a world that doesn't make any sense. And so people might ignore silly things like that because they're used to seeing bizarre comic book stuff that can't happen in the real world.
Yeah.
So that's the only way you could explain it. That's a cop-out. They did that so that they could do something like that. And that's annoying. But that would be the logic that a producer would give you if you asked them that question. Anyway, I never noticed that poster of the Volkswagen on the wall. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Webster's whole plan is also just a really boring plan.
Oh, no. Was it about coffee in it?
Yeah. He's gonna take over the world via coffee.
Ooh.
He's gonna take over the world's. He's gonna have like a monopoly on coffee.
He's gonna take over Nescafe coffee, or like Starbucks all the time.
And that's the moment that everyone in the movie theater is looking at their watch. Oh, that's the bad guy's plot? Okay.
Yeah. But there's a good line there when he walked in. That's a funny line, because he goes, I don't want to go to jail because I've got rapists and robbers and rapists who rape robbers.
Okay, that's kind of... I was just going to say, isn't it... you've got a great supervillain when not only do you have a revolving bookshelf, but it doesn't even go to a secret lair. It's just where he keeps his booze.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this and he flipped it around, I was like, oh, now he's gonna go into his evil cave. Like, awesome. Like, he's gonna have like a goblin glider and everything, you know? And then he flips it around and you're like, oh, he just has booze. He's not evil, he's just rich. What? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I would maybe do that myself. If I was rich, like, why not, you know? Revolving bookshelves are awesome. Like, what is that? I forget, do they go anywhere behind it? Or is that where he keeps...
This goes to... there's nothing behind there. Later on, you don't find out later on there's something there. No, it's just like a random gag.
Alright, well anyway, I'll stop talking about the revolving bookshelf. But really, what else is there to talk about right now?
Well, yeah. It's,
Oliver. Oh, yeah, you're right. I guess there is nothing else to talk about right now.
The end.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. You know, Oliver, I figured out how to enjoy this movie. It's watching it with you.
Oh, thanks. That's why I usually watch this film when I'm a bit drunk.
Yeah, you have to watch stuff like this with other people.
Yeah. No, because the weird thing is, I think I may have discussed it before with you, where a lot of my friends who aren't really big fans of Superman, I just want to watch, have something on in the background, or just not really concentrate on it. Superman 3 is fine for them, because they like Richard Pryor. There's a couple of funny moments where, you know, he's got a couple of funny gags, but there wasn't obviously many. You got some action to it, you got Superman turning evil, so there's enough there to keep people entertained, but there's moments like this where, you know, which are essentially very boring. So these are moments where we just end up drinking more booze.
I think this whole plot of Gus, because we haven't talked about it at all, of Gus, like, taking like the percentage of a penny out of all the paychecks and then...
Well, it's actually quite a clever idea. It
is, and, you know, at the time, dealing with all this new computer technology and stuff, it would have felt very relevant. I don't think that's great stuff for a Superman movie. I feel like somebody should have taken that script and given it to Richard Pryor and made a comedy out of that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Yeah. Well, it could have worked that way. I mean, it may have just been like, you know, it's like some films where, like, the sequel to Commando was going to be Die Hard, and they rewrote it to be Die Hard, and like a Lethal Weapon script got turned into Die Hard with a Vengeance. So this could have essentially been another script, like a comedy script, and just reworked it to fit Superman in it.
In fact, apparently none of the Die Hard movies were originally Die Hard movies except for the last one, which no one liked.
Oh, this is awful.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I didn't see it because I heard so many bad reviews, but yeah, even Live Free or Die Hard wasn't a Die Hard movie at first.
Hey, what was that again? What was it?
I know, but I read about that. I was just like, that's amazing. I have no idea what that was supposed to be. Anyway, that was a story that probably has a really interesting finish that I don't know.
I can't believe my luck.
That little Mickey Mouse computer.
Somewhere small they can sneak into.
Wow, could you just talk like Webster the whole rest of the film? like Oliver's like, okay, I only do a couple of impressions, and one of them is Webster from Superman 3. And then everybody's like, who the hell is that? Like,
But bored impressions. I know there's a good gag coming up when he gets hit by the door. Richard Pryor gets whacked by Clark Kent. Oh, it's brilliant.
You notice how so many actors in this movie can't decide if it's Lana or Lana?
I think
that actually looks really painful. Look on his face. He is funny, is the thing. Like when he's actually going, I guess I have to play this scene funny. Then he's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
The scene where it lingers on way too freaking long, but the scene where he's pretending to be an army general, I think is actually like genuinely kind of funny.
Yeah, there is some nuggets of good comedy thrown in that. He's like, well, sit on what? And he like breaks his stick.
Sit on what? That's a nice rainbow shot, yeah. All right.
No, I like this whole scene coming up. I think it's really good. Like the conversation between them two. But as you said, it sort of goes nowhere, you know. A sort of romance. Because it's subtly put there, because they both like each other. And Lana is in love with Clark and not Superman.
You know, I'll tell you, this definitely looks more like Kansas than anything in Smallville did.
Well, you mean the TV show Smallville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This actually looks, somewhat like Kansas. As a Kansas native, I feel the need to point things like this out. I have been to places that.
Well, this shows they've got good production design. You know, they've scattered the right areas. Because Smallville doesn't look at all like what it's exposed. What it's supposed to look like.
And then I've seen even other TV shows that act like anywhere. They'll put it like in Lawrence, Kansas, which is where I grew up. Heroes did this. There's an episode of Heroes where they go to Lawrence, Kansas.
Right.
And it's like this giant farm, like right outside, like that's supposed to be right outside Lawrence, but like they shoot it and there's like nothing around it. And I'm just, it hasn't looked like that in a really long time. Like I lived there.
Ugh.
I don't know. That kind of thing drives me crazy.
It will do, yeah. If you live in the area, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Because how many things do you see that specifically tackle your hometown unless you live in it?
Oh,
right?
Very rare, yeah.
I get excited when things get set in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Which is a big city, and that's where I live now. It's a big city, but you don't see a lot of things that are actually set in Kansas City.
That's right, yeah.
Which is unfortunate because we have lots of
If you live in New York, every film's in New York.
Yeah. Chicago, you'll see New York. You'll see Hollywood. You'll see California. I think part of why nobody shoots in Kansas City very often is because we don't have a skyline. Our skyline is just there's not. There's
nothing there. It's flat, is it? Boring.
Yeah, it's hard to get 8 shots of Kansas City because we don't have a skyline.
I got a little bit of an action scene. I used to like this segment when he transforms into Superman. Because when they've shot it, they've got like the wooden fence. You can tell they've got like one bit missed out of every part of the fence. It goes, there's a blank bit, then there's a bit of the fence. So when he runs through it, you can see him transform. But it's quite a cool effect. It's kind of like watching some old cheap animation when they used to have like a picture, and you spun it round and it would animate, and it kind of reminds me of that.
I never noticed the subtle animation of the lines next to his ear.
I never noticed as a kid. I never noticed it, so I saw it on DVD. And I was like, oh wow.
I don't think we needed that, but it wasn't like too obnoxiously.
No, it wasn't too didn't stick out too bad.
Well, they put some blood on that kid's face. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. Oh, there's one shot coming up. Chris Reeve gives the driver of the what is it?
A combine?
A combine, yeah. Gives him a proper evil look.
Yeah. I love angry looking Superman.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve does nothing better but angry Superman face. Okay, so Superman just fought a villain scarier than Webster. That's right. Superman versus a Combine is more exciting
Oh,
than
exactly.
Superman versus the actual villain of the film.
Well, it's one of the weird things, like, because like with Superman 4, we're trying to get rid of nuclear weapons, but Superman should be doing these sorts of things, saving people like from a combine harvester or like a cat from a tree, because they're like daily things he can do where it fits within his universe. Where if you have him getting rid of nuclear weapons, they're still there the next day in reality.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so, we can imagine, this kind of wishful thinking of, oh, wouldn't it be great if we had this, but we don't.
Yeah.
And so he's much better as an inspirational character.
That's right.
As hey, you may not have flight and these lines that come out of your ear whenever you're doing superhearing, but you can help people too, and here's a dramatic example,
I love this bit where she's like, we just saw Superman. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Would you like some orange juice? Freshly squeezed? Wheat King.
And this sort of whole scene drags on as well. But they've tried to add a little bit of comedy where, Richard Pryor's trying to impersonate some sort of businessman. He's got to try and get his way into the Wheat King Company, or Websco. And the security guard is Brad.
Yeah. Look at them trying to connect these subplots up there. Good job. Could you guys do us a favor and maybe, I don't know, kill him off the scene? No? Okay.
I think they probably should have used, like, Eddie Murphy at this point, because Eddie Murphy was just starting out. He could have been, could have gave the film a bit more energy. If they were gonna throw in like a comedian, if they were still going with that approach.
And I mean, like, maybe this is a horrible thing to say, but how different would the performance have been?
Well, I think Eddie Murphy would have been a bit more like flamboyant, maybe, and
he would have, yeah.
I would have come up with
but
some.
I don't know if that would have the film at all.
Nah, probably not. No. Anyway, actually, probably
would have dragged it down.
Worse. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I feel like he's trying to bring a little bit of humanity to this. I mean, I don't blame him for what didn't work about this movie.
No. I
blame the choice to put him in it, but I don't blame him.
No. I mean, because I don't think Richard Pryor really got bad reviews for his performance, because I think everyone knew the script had let the film down.
Yeah.
And I don't think Richard Lester was criticised heavily for his directing skills in this film or how it turned out. I mean, it's just, they've obviously it relies heavily on Warner Brothers as well. I mean, they wanted to go with Richard Pryor.
Oliver, I think you need that hat.
I'm a complete idiot with that.
I think you should wear it. Well, yeah, but fair enough. Who wouldn't? Like show me one person that can pull off that giant.
Not to walk into a bar in town. It's like, all right, lads, just walk into a lost hat.
And then he just gets offended whenever anybody even mentions that. Don't talk about not the hat. How can I not? It's taking up the space of 4 patrons. Oh, there's a plug for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the most bizarre computer ever. You got
look at that computer.
There's so many buttons on the side. What do they do? All these buttons.
Does it turn the Wheat King place into an aircraft? Like,
yeah.
Can you fly it? What is it for? Jeez.
You got to put both keys at the same time?
Same time?
Oh.
Like, really, we're really going here. It's our big gag. All right. It's like this is not a Superman movie anymore.
No, it's not.
And then you have to wonder if it ever was.
But wasn't it earlier that he was pretending to be drunk, but he's still drunk? Because because Brad passes out and he goes, gotcha. I was pretending.
I never understood that either.
So
I thought he was.
Why is he still acting drunk? I don't know. Maybe he still is drunk. I don't know.
did he pretend for a while and then he got actually drunk? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I'm confused. And then you find yourself going, am I really scrutinizing this material this hard? Like, do I care enough about do I have to actually complain about that? I don't know. Like, at this point, I sort of just feel wrong even having this conversation, Oliver.
Well, so a lot of the time, I don't go to extremes of making fun of this film, because I accept it for what it is and just enjoy it on my own terms. But it is a guilty pleasure. That's where this film fits in for many Superman fans. I mean, some people prefer Superman 4 because it's more serious. But I like this film more because it's a better presentation,
And I wish Superman 4 had somehow had the production values of this film.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It's a better script, kind of. I don't know, man. Like,
Superman 4 is still I mean, as I always say, you can't make a good film out of a bad script, and that's what happened, With this film, you've got a script which is it's got, as you said, some nice moments to it and nice ideas. Well, look at those computers, they're like dishwashers.
I thought this was Wheat King, not a laundromat.
But it's just a very average script, It's not awful, it's not amazing, it's just average.
It's not unwatchable, but it's
not at all. That guy there, right, with the near the ATM, he's the guy in Superman 2, the police officer, with when they encounter Zod and Ursa.
He is. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
That doesn't look like real money. It's like
no,
it
looks
weird.
like to be playing a board game right now.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly money or something.
It really does look like a laundromat.
This whole segment never really makes sense because he interferes. Okay, you've got these, he's hacking in. It's their way of showing he's hacking the system. But it has these bizarre moments which really annoyed me, and they went too far with the comedy. Was when you've got the sort of zebra crossing scene, when you've got like the two, the signal signs, as two men start fighting.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That was
gone too far. I want to cut that bit out.
Yeah. At that point, you just degenerated into a total cartoon, and even your goofy montage at the beginning showing us that this is a silly universe.
Yeah.
That doesn't even.
That guy's gone too far.
Fit it. When I saw that, I didn't even believe it. I just couldn't even believe what I was looking at. I was like, no, this is not happening. I do not accept this.
See, this whole bit, it's not funny.
Oh God, here it comes.
Oh.
Wow, I still can't get my mind around that, Oliver.
I feel
3 seconds.
Oh no,
it keeps going. Yeah, and then he gets him on the ground and he starts beating him. I've never seen that in anything. I forgot all about that scene. We just saw a green light walking guy and a red light walking guy attack each other.
Signal Fighter 2, Turbo.
You wonder if it was a racial thing.
I don't like you red people.
I don't like you green people.
We don't take kindly to red people around here.
God, we just can't get along. That's why this traffic is terrible. I don't know why we're from Kentucky, but... And the coffee plot continues. Oh.
So it shows, we've got a huge budget. They've literally gone to like, this is Brazil, isn't it? No, South America, whatever. They spent the money to go there,
Did they actually go there?
I think they have, yeah.
What was the point of that?
Well, they could have shot it in...
They could have shot this anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta have some...
They did. Well, fight at the end, because end credits would say... We
gotta have some authenticity for our...
Well, it's like Superman 2, and he flew, he goes lowest that, flower, they spent so much money, just getting like a small crew to go over there to another country just to shoot like a...
Yeah, and I grew up always thinking they built that. Isn't that funny? I don't even think honestly, the way they shot that, what you're talking about, it doesn't even look real to me. And they went there. Something about the way the natural lighting hit those flowers, I always thought it was a stage. Oops. But that
how's it getting blown away? Well, it says you're right, building your houses out of like leaves.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could go huff and puff and blow your houses down, so...
I'm sure this footage is from another film. I'm sure they've borrowed that from somewhere else. I'm not entirely sure.
The famous MBS News. Everybody watches that.
MBS, what? Metropolis what? Broadcasting station? Oh, I don't know.
Metropolis BS.
Yeah, that's brilliant, yeah.
It's the news you can count on.
BS News.
BS News. Hi, I'm Penn, and this is my partner, Teller.
This is quite... No, I like this shot. It's quite like... It pans out. It's got a great matte painting.
Yeah, that's just so weird. The money they spent on these bizarre choices.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yep, what we're gonna do is... Now, just bear with me. Is we're gonna build a ski slope on top of a skyscraper.
It's just bizarre ideas of trying to show extreme excess of this wealthy guy,
Yeah, and I get it, but he's generic and not charismatic at all, and
he's a bit tacky with his what he's designed.
Yeah, I just don't care. I mean, he's not over the top enough either, I mean, he's over the top in the wrong way, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I need more comic book Lex Luthor, or I need more like Doctor Doom or something. This guy's just dull. He's
like a TV, 60s TV show villain, and
that's what he should have been. He should have been an evil game show host.
Yeah. It should be the Running Man. There we go.
He was gonna take over the world with that game show. It would have been as much fun as Coffee. Actually, it would have been more fun than Coffee. It wouldn't have made any sense, but we're looking at a ski slope on top of a building, so I don't care.
Now here comes the most, I suppose, kind of awkward moment in the film.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't really go anywhere. It's not really funny.
I gotta say, I don't know why, there is a gag that I always laugh at.
I don't know, he tries to pull the, the sheet off the,
I don't know why, anytime somebody pulls a sheet off a table and all this stuff falls down, it always makes me laugh.
Well, it's like Ghostbusters, he pulls it off, he goes, whoa, the flowers are still standing.
The flowers are still standing!
And why is he singing the Superman theme? He goes, da 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 da. He shouldn't. There should be no Superman theme in that universe. And at the end is weird because he does the Superman rips open the shirt thing. That's bizarre.
Yeah, like what? Was there a camera crew once following Superman when he did that? On it so that you saw that happen? Well, if that happened, then they would all know that he was Clark Kent. So that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And this is a perfect example of how to incorrectly suspend disbelief, as in not doing that at all.
I don't know if Superman can turn a tornado upside down. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I really kind of wonder how much of this that we're seeing actually happened, or if we're actually just looking into his imagination.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Is he just like making up stuff? Or not making up stuff, but just like, is he exaggerating? We see his exaggeration? Or did Superman really turn a tornado upside down?
He's been watching that BS News, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's Look, I love how our...
I love that, but yeah, they're all quite snivelling, aren't they? They're like, always, try and help him out of this chair.
And falls in his chair. And his oil scheme... and his coffee scheme, and his Pez dispenser scheme, and his bacon scheme.
This whole scene's like this moment's quite cool when they talk about Kryptonite and the theme gets dark and the music kicks in a little bit. But the worst gag ever when he skis off the building.
What really annoys me is that he's like, oh, I remember reading this interview where Lois Lane came out and said exactly what I could use to kill Superman. That was one of my big complaints from Superman 1 is Superman, why did you tell her about your weakness?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
would you?
did he tell about, no, because he just said, he can't see through lead, didn't he? That was his, he couldn't see through lead.
He's not talking interview. He's talking about, well, how would anybody know about kryptonite? I mean, like, did somebody figure out that Lex Luthor had kryptonite?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because the characters are just assuming this stuff will hurt him, even though they don't. What? It's like if like Earth exploded and like parts of Earth, would that affect someone who'd left the planet? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Oh, where maybe they didn't even know about actual kryptonite. It was just some scientist postulating.
I don't know. Oh god. Oh sorry, it's the worst gag ever.
Yeah.
He would die. He'd be dead.
Yeah, and then this movie would only be an hour long, and it'd be okay.
Yeah. Things will improve. Oh god. I bet everyone in the cinema when I saw this, it was like, what the hell?
Is there anybody in the theater going, oh, that was awesome?
So out of place.
You should never have your villain say something like, where Krypton went bye-bye. Like, oh man, you're so menacing. I know I'm talking a whole lot about the unmenacingness of this villain, but it's really I think
nerves, isn't
it?
Now we actually find out what's actually in kryptonite, apart from one missing ingredient, which is stuff from Krypton.
Which is taco sauce, turns out, and
But he puts tar, doesn't he, in it?
Yeah, he puts tar in it. He's just making stuff up. Oh, tar.
Yeah.
What is promethium?
No idea.
How much of that is made up? Mercury
and
Xenon.
What's it got? Xenon? No, that's a bit weird.
No, Xenon's real, I think.
Yeah, I know that is, yeah, but...
And Mercury, obviously, but...
0.57%, so it's only a small fraction of it is tar.
But what's so funny is that's the ingredient you need to make it radioactive, apparently. Because when it's not in there, not only does it not affect Superman, but it doesn't glow or anything.
Yeah.
So you assume that whatever that small percentage of whatever they're missing that you need is the thing that makes it radioactive.
Yeah, essentially.
I guess. I don't know.
It's an interesting idea trying to create a synthetic piece of kryptonite, because it's something that would happen in the comics,
That's an okay idea. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I never had a major issue with it. But the more you think about it, the more it sort of doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't. I do like the idea, though, that in attempting to create kryptonite, you fail, but you make a different kind of kryptonite.
Yeah.
Because, of course, in the comics, there were all these different colors of kryptonite, and I sort of like the idea that might be why you could have different colors, or why you would have kryptonite that had different effects, was scientists screwing around with it. That's not terrible idea.
Oh, no, of course not, no. It's like they're showing like loads of failed attempts to try and create something to kill Superman, and it's perfectly acceptable.
Some people just hate the idea of different kinds of kryptonite in general, but I mean, if you can get past that, I'm not really against that idea.
No, not at all. In a church. That's brilliant.
What is going on? Oh man, this is such a weird movie. Like, I'm degenerating as we're going along.
Richard Pryor's falling asleep. Like most of the audience. No.
It's like, oh well, at least now I can relate to our protagonist.
Well, would they've made it? Would it come out that shape? Would the person in the lab sort of made it look a bit more presentable? I don't know, made it into a square. I don't know.
Wait, yeah. Why did they pull it out as if it was a jagged part of kryptonite?
Yeah, she's like carved a bit of it off. It goes, here you go, have that bit.
That's so weird. Yeah, it looks like it was carved off of a glacier. Or not a glacier, but like,
it's like
a fortress or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or he gets a key to the city. Do whatever he wants.
Superman's going to put that in his Key to the City collection.
Yeah.
That he has in his trophy room.
I'm surprised the little kid playing Ricky the actor hasn't sort of said anything online about, being in this film. I would have thought someone would have quizzed him and asked him, and he would have said something online. But I think the kid who plays Jeremy in number 4 did post something online about his experience on Superman 4, but I have to look into that.
The guy who played Nuclear Man was in Metropolis a couple years ago.
That's right, yeah. He's on Facebook and stuff. He posts stuff now and again.
He was missing for years. Nobody knew where he was.
Yeah, I know. Even Warner Brothers couldn't find him. That documentary, sorry, we couldn't contact
all of a sudden, the man just came out of the woodwork and he's signing pictures and stuff.
Yeah, it's mental.
So random. Maybe he started hurting for cash.
I think he's doing quite well for himself. He's just he's a wine merchant or something.
I was just joking. I don't know what he does. But you gotta wonder then if he's doing all right financially. You gotta wonder why he just suddenly said, yeah, okay, I guess now after all these years I'll talk about.
What happened was I think someone had found him, like a fan online, managed to find him and sort of track him down, and he did an interview online, and that's how it sort of spread. I think really.
Maybe he didn't even realize anybody was interested.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It was like when
just because Warner was trying to find him doesn't mean that he ever knew that.
That's right. I mean, if he doesn't, if he's obviously in his 50s, whatever, late 50s, not everyone goes online searching for themselves or Superman fans, so he just fully forgot about it, really.
He's never a megastar, so it's not like there would be a lot of information about him.
That's right. Now, you were saying earlier you quite liked the scene, didn't you?
I think it's got some funny stuff in it.
Yeah.
It goes on way too long, but
yeah,
that's par for the course for this film. I don't think, I don't like something about this though with this might just be me, but I think there's something weird, Oliver, about Superman accepting the key to the city for his hometown.
Well, it doesn't really bother me. It's kind of,
I feel like you're risking somebody recognizing you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because the thing is, he didn't wear glasses till he went to Metropolis.
That's a good point. But he looks, but they obviously haven't seen him for, I don't know, 15, 20 years,
I still think it'd be too risky, but that's just me. Again, that's after watching a whole lot of Smallville where
you
don't have any, there's no way possible that guy could ever get away with people not knowing he has superpowers.
That's right. Christopher Reeve actually, talking about his hair, he actually wore a wig in this one. I think he wore a wig in number 2 as well. Because you can see part of his hair is like bits of brown. His hair is not completely black. It's like highlights of brown in his hair. I think he had allergic reaction, or to the hair dye they used. I'm not sure.
Weird.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve was allergic to a lot of stuff. Like the cape as well gave him a rash and things like that.
I am really glad that you actually know some things about the production of this film.
I never understood why is he always carrying a yo-yo? I don't understand that gag.
Menacing!
What's the play on that, on that character? Why having a yo-yo? It's very peculiar.
Oh, wait, Gus has a yo-yo?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Webster. I was like, well,
sorry, yeah. You can see that he's got on the phone, isn't he?
It was kind of concealed a little bit there, I didn't really notice it. But when you said that, I was like, well, that would just, top the whole thing off with Webster, man.
Everyone's got yo-yos in the film, just in the background, random characters.
So not menacing.
No, I love this scene here, sorry, because the Kryptonite's kicked in and he gets a bit sleazy, doesn't he?
And I feel like this is an attempt at doing this gradually, where at first you think he's kind of okay, and then...
Yeah, I think it's really good, but it does seem a bit I don't know, out of place in a kid's film, I suppose, where he's got a bit like a sleazy bloke after a few drinks, It's
like, oh god, what's he gonna do?
Look, he's feeling a bit mashed there. He's like, oh god, it's kicking in. You better go save him. Superman's like, yeah, whatever, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I'd kind of rather just stay here and creepily stare at you so the audience...
yeah.
That sounds like more fun, because after all, I've barely been in this movie, so what wouldn't be the best idea right now but for me to start acting completely out of character? I think that's one of the things that bugs me about that being in this film, is that Superman is already not the central character.
No, he's not. Yeah, you want to, the kids are all, even the adults have gone there to see Superman, and he's barely in it at this point.
Then he's being evil and stuff.
But he just becomes a little bit mischievous, what's the word? Becomes a little bit like a hooligan, just goes around like just being a pain and not really doing anything super evil. It's kind of just flicking peanuts at bottles and blows out a torch.
That's just hilarious.
He pushes the Leaning Tower of Pisa,
That's my favorite.
Yes, he's been quite helpful there. He's pushing it back to normal.
Yeah, he's just committing vandalism.
Yeah.
He's not actually trying to help. He's just like, I'm going to ruin these people's business.
Yeah, goes on like a.
I don't think I like it in a Superman film, but just in general, I like the gag where like they have those little statue merchants.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell those statues and
he just wants to irritate those two blokes. That's
and then when you get to the end, here we are with them, and then you get to the end, and they made all these statues where they're not leaning, and then he fixes it again, and they're like, Superman.
Oh, here we go, yeah. Oh god.
I might love you, but we know the truth about Superman. He's just a menace to Pisa.
Yeah.
I just love the angry Superman face. And it's kind of angry Superman face. It's like, I'm mad for no...
You can see like the suit's beginning to get a little bit darker now, and he's getting a little bit shadow on his chin, so he's starting to look a little bit more rough, isn't he,
Well, and then he'll start growing stubble.
Yeah. Exactly. That symbolizes evilness. He's nearly getting a beard. He could be super evil.
He's committing acts of random vandalism.
Yeah, exactly. Suppose he just go around with like doing graffiti, like writing curse words on the wall. Oh my god! Upset the local council. Oh my god!
He just starts putting Superman symbols like everywhere.
Yeah.
I do really like that time cover. That's cool.
Oh, that's definitely, yeah. I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that prop. That'd be just cool.
I'd love to have a replica of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Him jogging, like, so funny.
Oliver, I've always meant to ask you, do you collect Superman at all? Or
I collected, I went through a phase of collecting Superman movie memorabilia. So I got tons of like production stills, like all the posters at the time, like the lobby cards and press kits. I've got loads of those. I've got tons of like film magazines like Starlog and Starburst. Although I've got loads of those from the 80s. I got tons of those stuff. But I sort of stopped after a while because it sort of became a little bit too expensive and there's only so much you can buy at the time and it sort of became Superman movie stuff is quite hard to find, like specific items but yeah, I sort of stopped collecting really, but I've still got loads of it still. I'll keep it till it gets really valuable and sell it.
Ooh, yeah. I don't remember if you ever told me about any of that stuff, but...
Well, I've got all the Superman movie posters, all framed. I've got all four. I used to have them all in my room, like all Superman 1 to 4 in my room, and people would walk in and go, so you like Superman, don't you, Oliver? How did you guess?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I took them all down. There you got one. There you got Superman the movie poster up on my wall.
See, he's just being a creep at this point.
Just being a pain, isn't he?
Yeah. He's just like, it'd be really funny.
So, cheers, Superman.
Blew out the Olympic torch.
Yeah.
I love that this happens to happen to Superman, like, just at opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
Oh, it's still funny.
What a strange choice. But you gotta remember that this is coming from Lester, who thought it would be funny to change Mount Rushmore into Mount Zodmore.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's some, Richard Lester, I mean, some of his stuff is really funny, like some of his other films, but it just seems a little bit out of place. It's kind of like stuff that would Richard Lester would be like really good to like direct a Pink Panther movie.
Oh yeah, sure.
And this, Superman's not his forte, but he's got some of the production people, the right people involved to give it its credibility to a certain degree. But yeah, clearly the wrong director to be tackling Superman. I mean, it's like, this whole kind getting the David and Leslie Newman to do the scripts. I mean, there have been so many other amazing writers at the time who would have jumped at the chance to write a Superman movie. And they just give it to, people who wrote Superman 2. It's like, come on. Not very good with their ideas, really.
I feel like Webster's just showing off by showing all these, like, maps he has all over the place that are like, they come out from the floor and they come out from like,
yeah. It's like a Bond villain, would have all these weird like contraptions in his room, like things will spin around or turn, Look, it's quite that sort of character arc with Pamela Stevenson, the ditzy sort of assistant to Webster, where she's actually really intelligent, isn't she? Where she's a character sort of played to be a dumbass, but she's actually really smart. But it just seems to like why have that? I don't know. It's just kind of bizarre.
They don't do anything with it. I feel like it's just sort of they're trying to play against type from Miss Tessmacher, so she's just not another Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah. It's like loads, it's as we said earlier, it's like loads of good ideas or like interesting plot points, but just go nowhere.
And it's kind of, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's a sort of lack of confidence in the whole thing, really, where they're kind of like, we've got to try and make this different. Oh, let's just, make it a generic summer blockbuster. That's it,
Speaking of, Webster.
Yeah.
The third definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary of yo-yo is a stupid or foolish person.
Ooh.
Of course. And so he's carrying around a yo-yo because they're like giving you this symbol of him in his own hand. He's just walking around with a yo-yo because he's a yo-yo.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough. But it's not really just, well, it's like,
it's
subtle.
goofy.
It's goofy. It's like a subtle thing to his character, but no one's really going to recognize that or think.
No, nobody's going to think about that. And if they do, it's too on the nose. It's silly. He's a yo-yo, so he carries a yo-yo. I mean, yeah, it's dumb.
How would anyone make a computer from those sketches, man?
I don't know. I don't think they could. And I gotta ask you this question too.
Mm.
So his personality type is yo-yo.
Right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
We've established.
Clearly. Oh yeah, we established that, yeah.
But he's also a computer genius.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just not 100% sure that it fits together. I mean, that's not to say that, you don't have, sure, you have geniuses that are like socially inept and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know that, he doesn't come off as just socially inept. Like, he doesn't seem like a very smart person. Just in general.
Yeah, to be a computer genius, you have to be generally already very smart, and to be typing code and things like that, you'd have to.
It seems like he's this weird character where, like, and I feel like a lot of movies do this, where, like, he's just naturally good at that. He doesn't really understand it. He's just, like, it's just built into him somehow. It doesn't work that way.
The novelization of this film, is actually really good. Like the proper novel to Superman 3, which was released at the time, and it goes more into Richard Pryor's character's background, and talks about him like he used to be obsessed with like repairing stuff, and it sort of explains sort of how he sort of becomes a computer genius.
Oh, okay, great.
And it's actually a lot better than this sort of
I
stuff.
wouldn't even be complaining about it if that was in the movie, but
yeah.
We don't we spend so much time with him and yet we know nothing about him.
Exactly, and they could have had a throwaway scene where he talks about his past just briefly. If you just mention it, then it becomes, less stupid, I suppose. Oh, here comes Sleazy Superman. He's got to.
So how did she get up there?
That's a good point.
How did she get on the Statue of Liberty? Like, does Webster have a helicopter and he just dropped her off there? Like, how?
Possibly. Possibly.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, the effects are so cool in this film. I like that shot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's wasted on this material.
Yeah. Look, Christopher Reeve's wearing the Brandon Routh colour scheme for Superman suit, isn't he?
Oh, that's why I don't like that.
Okay. Exactly.
I'm just kidding. This is just awkward.
It's too...
I don't want to watch this. You know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but I look at this and I'm like, I don't want to watch the scene. Like,
because it's kind of like, you don't want Superman to act like that, you know.
Well, and maybe that's part of the point. And again, if this came from more of a character place and we were like gonna, do something interesting with it to further his character, then it would be a good thing that we don't want to see that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, I don't want to. I'm supposed to not want to see Superman do that, but as it is, it's just sort of like, I don't know why we're doing this and I don't care and I don't want to watch that scene. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's a little bit dodgy.
Problematic.
I also love this scene. It's quite well shot, actually. It's not too bad. Because you've got Superman flying against like a, daylight scene. The effects don't look too dated.
Yeah. There's a few places where it does a little bit, but that looked really good.
Oh, Superman's a pain, isn't he?
Yeah, now he's working for the villain and he doesn't know it. I think that's what's going on, right? Right, that he's being like...
Yeah.
Manipulated by the villain, and
oh god, he's been manipulated because of something very simple. Because he just wants sex. That's it.
That's it.
Any man can be manipulated that way.
Especially if he's on messed up tar kryptonite.
Exactly. In the extended version of this, a TV cut, because obviously Superman's going to go to see the woman now, and obviously they have sex, but it cuts to a scene with Vera, and she's up in her room eating chocolates, but you can hear them downstairs, and it's a bit awkward. It's just comedy doesn't go anywhere.
Just the idea of an extended version of this movie. I don't need this music either.
A bit of jazz. It's well good.
It's just so goofy. I mean, in this context.
Bit of hot jazz.
Superman, are we really going to go this far? Yes, we are. All right. All right. Well, what could possibly go wrong?
She'll get a broken pelvis. I don't know.
Oh man.
Superman.
Well, so moving on.
It was a big sign of saying roast beef.
Roast beef.
It's like a big sign of saying beer. Great generic beer.
Yeah. Oh, look at all this great product placement. Why don't they say Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Exactly.
Because we obviously paid for that.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, probably because this is probably an actual town. I doubt this is a set.
Yeah, it's actually
It's a real town.
Calgary, yeah. I think it's Calgary.
I'm finding myself watching this and going, well, some of this is a little painful for me, but at least I'm not watching Supergirl.
We still got to do that one, haven't we?
I know.
We've got to face the pain.
Do we really have to go there?
Well, your fans want that, don't they? So
they will, yeah.
They will complain if you don't.
They will demand it, and then we will freely torture ourselves for their amusement.
I think that's what YouTube's all about. I think.
Well, they do have helicopters. That's probably how she got up there.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, that explains that.
They're going to build like a giant Atari Jaguar or Jaguar.
Oh, that's the funniest thing you've ever said. They're going to build a giant Atari Jaguar.
64-bit.
Yeah. Here it goes. I am so proud of that reference. Well done.
I like the music here is quite cool. I also like that bit of musical cue. See, all we've had no action, right, since the chemical plant, right? Because you had a little bit where he saves Ricky, but it's not really action. So for a younger audience, it'd be very hard for them to keep them invested, I think, throughout this movie. And it's bizarre that the writers didn't think that, or the director thinks, wait a minute, aren't these kids aren't this? For a lot of children, it could be the first film they saw at the cinema, and it's not extremely exciting until it gets to Superman turning evil, and that's what an hour and an hour and a half into the movie.
Yeah, and because they're not saying anything with it, I think that's really questionable for kids, honestly.
Yeah.
What are kids going to take from that? It's like, okay, Superman goes evil and then he's good again. Like, what? We should be saying something with that. We should be doing something with that. I don't mean like a big message or something. I'm just saying like there should be something going on with that.
Yeah.
No, really, it's just the vague notion of wouldn't it be scary if Superman went bad? Well, yeah, it would. And then he does it, and then he's not anymore. And then it's completely nonsensical as to how he gets back.
I think the film was criticised by parents at the time for showing Superman in this, being evil or,
Well, and I don't think they would have criticized it if there'd been more of a reason behind it. That's my point.
Yeah.
Because it's nonsensical. It comes from nowhere.
Oh, that's the most tackiest bar ever. I would never go drinking in there.
No, I wouldn't either.
Awful. It's quite cool though when they melt the mirror. That's really cool. I like that. No, he's had way too many.
I really don't love the idea that Superman can get inebriated.
Yeah, it's true. It's like Captain America can't get drunk, can he?
Yeah, I don't think Superman should be able to either. I think that if you can, if bullets can bounce off you and stuff like that, you've got to have a better metabolism than that.
Yeah.
And I'm also projecting based on other Superman things I've seen, fair enough. I mean, like, I get a lot of that from things like Lois and Clark, where like he's eating junk food all the time, but he's got a great metabolism, so he doesn't. He's gonna be buff without working out. He doesn't have to worry about what he eats and stuff like that. So like I'm used to that version of Superman, but still, I think it makes more sense that he wouldn't be able to get.
Yeah, wasted. I like the idea where essentially when Superman's fighting Clark, Superman's sort of acting in a way he's got like a horrible headache, he's like getting really ill. And I like that interpretation of the evil version of Superman, where he seems to be getting more and more worse, isn't he? Like he's getting really ill.
Yeah.
He's got a horrible migraine.
Yeah, you just know he's going to have like the biggest hangover ever tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go. Now, because Superman's now flying down to Pinewood Studios. Because you can see it in the background. Look, you see in a sec. It's your 007 soundstage.
Now, Oliver, can you even begin to explain to me what happens in this scene?
Well, obviously because he sort of separates, doesn't he, into two, right? But I always thought it was all in his head, right? So if someone's, it could be interesting. I had like one of the mechanics there, or whatever, watches what's happening, but to see Superman by himself, but it's all happening in his head. That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, the problem I have with it is they don't make it clear enough that it's happening in his head.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that may not be the case. They've just gone, okay, he just separates and there's two of them. That's it. That
doesn't make any sense either.
Well, the whole film doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I know, but this really takes the cake.
Yeah, I know. It's just cool. It's just an idea, just a cool idea they've thought of and haven't really thought.
That's why it annoys me so much, though, Oliver, because it's the coolest looking scene in the whole movie, and there's no premise there.
That's true.
There's no conceit for this.
Yep.
And I want one because I like it, but I feel like I can't really like it as much as I should, because I don't really know what I'm looking at. The problem with it all being in his head is that like they bash up this whole junkyard.
That's right.
And so you're like, okay, well, maybe he just flew around and ran himself into stuff and bashed it up. But I'd like to know. I don't know what I'm looking at. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. But that's wicked when he goes psycho. It's like, come on, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, you never really see Christopher Reeve do that, so it's cool. I love this bit when he blows out the acid, like ruins his. He's like, oh, my coat, better take it off, you know. That is cool.
Yeah, it's a great looking scene.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's a let down because it's very inventive. It's actually very original, I think, for the time. It's just a little bit clunky in places, but you know, it's 1983, so you know, you can't expect like, you know, filmmaking style of action of today.
Well, and they do a really great job of like you never can see the face of the stunt double or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very good. I tell you, this part here where he sort of grabs Kent, you can see the optical.
You do really feel like you're looking at the you know, Clark and Superman and not some other actor.
Chris Reeve did quite a lot of his own stunts in this film, and actually built like that sort of that car compressor thing that he gets trapped into.
Oh,
you know,
really?
Chris Reeve's actually in that, you know, and they've actually obviously built it to, you know, for it to be for human to be in there safely. But yeah, it's pretty, you know, pretty scary stuff trying to film that.
But yeah, if it is all in his head, you know, you can't really scrutinize any of this.
No, it's very well made. You know, it's a highlight of the movie, isn't it? Really?
It is. I mean, if it's not, then I'm thinking things like, okay, well, it's Superman versus Clark Kent, but Clark Kent clearly still kind of has powers because he can get beat around without breaking bones and stuff.
Yeah.
So then why would that kill? Why would he even be afraid that would hurt him?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Because I think it's down to the thing. I really think it's all in his head, and he's just a good part of him is just fighting back now. And he can't get rid of him. He can't get rid of him, you know.
Right, yeah. But we don't really understand the properties of like that, the fake kryptonite, what exactly is going on with him.
That's right. It's not properly explained. I don't think even the actors or interviews at the time, or even like people who made it, even properly explained it. So
no,
if you look carefully, sorry, where he's throwing the tires in the background, you can see a Blade Runner poster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, how random.
I love the tires being shredded. That looks really cool.
Yeah, when he like rips it apart, you see his big like lump of phlegm fly out his mouth. It's so weird.
I never really.
Oh, this is so silly because you just like, you know, you just move out the way before it flattens you.
Yeah, that is dumb. Why would you just stand there? But then the effect looks good, so it's okay. Yeah. But you know, like I wasn't just thinking about it. I was like, oh, look at that. He goes through the ground and it looks really good. But then you're like, well, just step 3 inches one direction, moron. But you know, these movies have had that before. I mean, like we've complained about things like the big, I don't remember which movie it was, but the big sign that almost comes down on the lady with the baby.
Oh, that's number 2. Where
you're just like, just walk away, woman. What's wrong with you?
I know.
Why are you just standing there?
I suppose it could be a point where Clark's just pointing out that you can't get rid of him. He's just gonna, you know, take the beatings, but still gonna come back.
Yeah,
it's just pretty mental.
He symbolic of something.
He puts him in the car crusher now, and you can see like the big like gears sort of crushing up the cars. You hear him screaming. It's quite, you know, it's quite sort of quite scary. I think for a kid to.
Yeah, it would seem a lot more violent if it was, you know, actually happening.
Oh yeah, because it's like the subtle things of horror where you know it's more scary if you don't see it, but you actually hear it sometimes. You know, it's what you don't see, and it's kind of like
the idea of it all being in his mind, it's hard to really be invested in any of this, right?
I suppose so.
But to be fair, when I was a kid, this did bother me a lot. And again, a lot of it was because it was so surreal. I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, what does Clark Kent somehow die? What am I looking at?
But even though, this is coming up though. I must admit. I think it's one of the most iconic moments from the Superman series. Even for its imagery, when he turns back into Superman, it's so, like, just perfect. This shows how good, this shows that Christopher Reeve is Superman.
And I love that he comes out with the glasses off.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure the fact that he disappears there is supposed to tell us that this is all in
his head.
But when it's not in his head anymore, look, everything's still all broken up and messed up.
That's a good point.
So, I guess, wouldn't it be fun to see the scene again with just him?
Yeah, that'd be so weird, wouldn't it?
What happened?
Like just beating himself up.
Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself!
Oh, that's awesome scene. This is it's the best. I think one of the best flying effect shots is optic shot where he's sort of flying across the ocean, where he's back to normal. It still looks really good, I think.
And now he's got his regular suit on again. I don't know how just being evil physically makes your suit get darker.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's okay. Because
it didn't wash for a week, just a bit smelly.
Because I also don't know how he can just, like, you know, be flying and then suddenly be wearing the suit and stuff like that. Like I've complained about in the other movies. I mean, I don't want to pretend like Superman 3 is the only movie with unexplained non sequiturs. It's not. There's just so many of them, and there's not a good enough script to back it up, that they bother me more.
Yeah, I know, because you want this film to be really good, because everything about it, production-wise, is top-notch.
That's what's so annoying about it, yeah. And I mean, like, I didn't mean to just complain all the way through the Superman beats up Clark Kent scene, because it's awesome, but it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. Because you're in it, because a lot of people, it's like, everyone wants the new Superman film to be good. You know, I'm sure it will be, Man of Steel will be good, but a lot of people just have a lot of affection for the character and want these films to be great. But it's been sort of being let down too many times. It's a bit like RoboCop fans have been let down so many times with awful sequels and TV shows, you know.
That's a good point. I wonder what that reboot's going to be like.
Ugh, it's going to be awful. Just tell by the suit. But doesn't Richard Pryor mentions the tagline from Superman the movie? You know, he says, "I don't believe a man can fly."
Yeah. Does that bug you?
Well, not really. It's just sort of. It just seems like a random sort of line. I think Richard Pryor's probably thrown in, maybe. Just a weird way to fly down to the bottom of the canyon. These sort of motorized hot air balloons. It's a bit strange.
Yeah, it's always worse when you have kind of a self-indulgent line like that when it's, you know, a movie that just ultimately ends up being kind of disappointing, where you're like, not only is it disappointing, but it's also referencing the movie you'd rather be watching.
Yeah, exactly. It's because it's you know, we haven't seen Richard Pryor for a while now, so it's got a lot of people will probably be thinking, where's Richard Pryor been? You think, oh my god, I'm watching a Superman movie. Yay! Oh no, we're back to Richard Pryor.
Go back to this, and all of a sudden we're on these, like, weird balloon,
he's on a donkey.
cycle things. What is that? That's so weird.
There's a shot coming up. You see Superman flying across, like, the canyons at top speed towards camera. But the background plate they've used is actually from Superman the movie. They shot loads of, like, background footage for stuff. Just reusing stuff from, like, 5 years earlier.
Wow.
It's crazy. But this film does have, like, where Superman approaches the canyon, some great effects work, like there's optic stuff, like the front projection stuff. It looks really good. It's coming up in a bit. It's quite funny because she walks into, like, the cave wearing shades on because I can't see anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot they build this in a cave.
Yeah.
Oh look, it's Batman's atomic pile.
That's right.
That's what it looks like.
And some dishwashers on the left and the right as well.
Well,
some sort of it's kind of like some weird, bizarre, like Daleks, you know, sort of come out. You know.
Yeah, you're right. It is reminiscent of Daleks. Yeah.
It reminds me of that. This is all Derek Medding's, like, miniatures, and the guided Thunderbirds and Batman miniatures.
They just have alcohol randomly sitting next to the staircase.
Yeah, it's like they just literally finished it. They're gone, get out, quick! Superman's coming. Oh, I've finished my drink yet.
The strangest villain plot ever. It's really weird. I don't want to spend this long with the villains, and they're just goofy, but not in a funny way. Like,
yeah. I think Robert Vaughn. I mean, he's a very good actor, and he does his best with what he's given. I think in this script.
Well, you notice I've never once complained about the actor. I just think the character's stupid. So.
Yeah. So this shot coming up with Superman flying in, it still looks amazing today.
Really good. Yeah. Wow.
And he sort of moves his arm to sort of avoid sort of the mountain.
I'm glad you're talking, Oliver, so much about effects in this movie, because I think that this is one of those films that has such a bad critical memory that people probably remember it as being a bad looking film, right? Like,
exactly.
I'm sure people look at this and they think of what Superman 4 looked like, but this actually looks good, you know?
Yeah, it does, yeah. I mean, when someone says, criticize it, well, I go, well, it's a well-made film, but just, the screenplay's weak. And it's a $35 million movie, costs more than most of the movies out that year.
That's right. That's something that I've always felt the need to say about Batman and Robin. I don't take up for that film, but the production values are good.
Oh yeah, really good. The effects are fantastic, but it's
it's just a bad movie. Bad, yeah. But I feel like people feel the need to oversimplify things and say, well, if the acting's bad and the script is bad, and I guess the effects were bad too, and it's just not like that.
That's all, no.
It's worse because it's throwing a lot of money that should have been spent on a better movie. I love this video game stuff.
Oh, definitely. It looks like something out of like a Sega Genesis or something, for the time.
Yeah, I'm like, there was never a Superman game.
I know. I always thought because people like kids at the time thought these were the graphics of the Atari, I think 5200, and it obviously wasn't like that because these cost like I think this thing cost $50,000.
Oh my
I think
God!
Because you've got to try and create these effects and make the pixels work in anamorphic as well, which is very difficult for the time, and it's the first film to use computer-generated imagery to create a video game, to make it look like a video game.
That's amazing.
Where Tron, where it was this world, the world was the computer game, but but this, it's a little bit different,
Yeah.
It's quite daring.
I mean, like, you didn't have a Superman game on NES or NES era or Genesis Super Nintendo era that looked like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
I love that bit. What the hell's going on? Superman's a bit of a plonk. He just completely forgets about this missile. Well, you got 200 points for that rocket. Oh. 500, 150. You got 50? What? Game over. Come on, why did you say game over? You should be like, continue. Come on, I want to shoot him again.
Yeah, it's like, who's the, aren't you the protagonist of your video game? Wait.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Game over. You lose because you did a good job.
That missile was like the size of a nuclear bomb. That would have taken out the whole of the Grand Canyon, but nope. He tells the donkey to sit. It's like, sit. Okay, you jackass. And he throws the stone at it.
I still really feel like there should be bat poles and a Batmobile and...
Yeah. It's a bit... I don't know what... I know what they weren't very inspiring with their design for this.
Not so much.
It does look very heavily influenced by Batman.
Atomic batteries to power.
Yeah.
Oh my God, and now Superman will finally face off against, that guy. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know you, lady. The best line Christopher Reeve ever had to deliver.
Well, I don't know you.
I don't know you, lady. And you're next, Webster, and then I'm gonna go after your dictionary. Yeah. You just wait. I think they should have had her, his henchwoman be named Miriam, just... It is a movie that goes to those kinds of just, like, eye-rolling places.
Yeah, it does. You're like, ugh.
It gave our yo-yo a yo-yo, okay?
Yeah.
Like, they could've...
It's kind of weird, though, these sort of, these weapons they've got to attack Superman, they put him in, like, you know, this sort of bubble, don't they?
That's not an invisible shield. She
Yeah.
pushed a button for the invisible shield, that shield fully visible.
That's good, yeah, actually, I never noticed.
Not a shield.
It's
A shield is something that protects someone, not makes them float in the air where they can't move. In fact, nothing about what you called that is actually describing the thing I'm looking at.
But there's a very good effect, but it's kind of like Superman's running out of air, it implies. It sounds like he can't breathe.
Yeah.
But he can breathe in space, so we can hold his
Really
breath for ages, you know.
Yeah, it's cool looking, but
it's quite weird though, because he shoots him, right? It kind of implies that he's quite close to the computer, then suddenly they shoot him with their kryptonite beam, and he's miles away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
I have a huge problem with this, Oliver.
I know. Yeah, it's silly.
Do you feel the same way I do about it?
Yeah, because they couldn't create it earlier, so now they can.
They couldn't create it earlier. They made a computer where it has this like special rule where it can do anything, and therefore it can somehow, with no explanation, create something that does not exist on Earth.
Yeah. But then if it's a computer, it'll be like try and recreate it like synthetically, right? And it's
and it would fail at that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it would.
So we got these cartoon rules where all we have to say is it can do anything, and that's why it does.
Yeah. So it could have had him affect him in a different way this time, you know. But epic fail again.
Epic fail.
We love this bit in a minute because the whole computer is powered by this screw. He like unscrews from the system, right? And he goes,
awesome.
Give me that screw. And he goes, never. And he eats it. And he's like, okay, that powered it. Shouldn't be like a massive plug. He just unplugs, you know.
That was his special, like end game. If that was the trick he had up his sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna swallow this screw.
Yeah. This is his Control-Alt-Delete, isn't it?
Right. Gus Gorman's gonna learn his lesson about building giant evil supercomputers. He's never gonna do that again. Oh, he must have pulled the plug out. It's so simple.
Don't worry, I'll just go put it back on again, back in a sec, you know.
Got that on a surge protector.
He's like, yo, Sidman, just wait there, I'll come back and kill you in a minute.
You just
I've got the power back on.
Hang on right there. I'm just gonna lie here and still be affected by the kryptonite that's no longer affecting me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so maybe there would be a little bit of reaction time after you got hit by kryptonite. When have we ever seen that in Superman ever?
Yeah.
Ever. He always instantly recovers.
Exactly.
Give me one
but then
time.
you've got a point though, because he's in a cave and there's no sun, is there? So he could essentially power up a bit slower. But
maybe, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Even he could be underground, he could be in space, he could be anywhere, and he's going to recover instantly when kryptonite stops affecting him.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, this almost makes a little more sense that there would be recovery time. I'm just saying I've never seen it anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm mostly just making an observation. I think it's interesting.
I think we were talking about earlier about like any sort of tension. I think this is the only part of the film when there's actually proper tension now because the computer's gone out of control and it's draining more power. It's trying to seek more power. And Superman seems at the moment out of, in big trouble.
It's still hurting the whole thing that I don't buy that they could make kryptonite.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, so all of a sudden he's in danger because he needs to because it's your third act. Okay.
This bit's a bit dodgy because like they've dubbed it right when the kid Ricky's like, oh, who turned the lights out? But you don't even see his mouth moving.
Oh, I hate that stuff, yeah.
Oh, an axe. Oh, good.
Oh, I see. So you're destroying complicated technology with basic technology.
It's quite a bizarre angle when he's like, attacking it. The camera's sort of completely like turned on its side. It's quite mental.
Is there some kind of social commentary here, or is it just this thing? Oh, I think it's actually just this thing we did. Yeah, okay.
He's destroyed that thing out of Star Wars. You know, that thing, that big floating.
Yeah. The drone thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives Princess Leia like an injection.
I used to have a figure of that.
Did you? I never saw those figures of that thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is Superman's acting like his arms hurt?
I don't know.
Maybe because he fell on it, he's gone a bit numb. He's like, oh, I've got a dead arm.
Yeah, you're right. That was weird.
I love his look as well. He's just like, you know, she's like, come back. He's like, yeah, whatever, screw you. He just walked off. You know, he's like, he didn't look very happy at all. Oh, this bit, oh god. This bit used to freak me out as a kid. All children are scared of this bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I certainly was.
Yeah, it gave my friends nightmares, you know.
This is just wrong.
Oh, it's so good though, because no music.
It's assimilated by the Borg.
Yeah. This is before, like, the Terminator. It's turned into a cyborg. This film's so inspirational. Ahead of its time.
Yeah. Sure, Oliver, whatever, pal.
I am talking rubbish, you know.
just in case you
do that,
Oliver. Just in case you didn't notice and you're incapable of recognizing facetiousness, I'm making things up. This would all be a little scarier if it weren't for the goofy wig.
Or what, on the robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Like proper bed hair. Sorry.
We have to personify this because we can't have Superman just fighting a giant computer with like no proper shape, right? Like yeah. He's got to ultimately have to go up against something with arms and legs and a face.
That's true.
That's the only reason they did that.
That's quite a cool matte painting. He's painted out all the lights going out. I still love this scene because it does look really good in widescreen when he sort of blocks the laser beam and it reflects into the cyborg. It's quite great use of framing because this film does look very much like a comic book. How it's like the comic book panels are.
I agree with you.
This film feels like it's very heavily storyboarded.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So in its favour, it does look like a comic book, you know. It's great camera work, this film, you know. Oh my god, it's the really cheap Daleks.
Oh, they're coming after us, yeah. Superman versus busted looking Daleks. Exterminate.
That's quite cool. I like that bit when he gets sucked into the computer and all the wires go around his face, and they sort of animate little bits of lightning, like bits of like light off the wires, which is quite
that looks neat.
Good attention to detail.
Well, yeah, you're right, and it doesn't look too animated either. Like that doesn't look silly. That's working. Yeah. There are a few things in this movie that do have some kind of silly animations. That's not one of them. That looks good.
Yeah, it works really well. I think the only thing about Superman 4 with like Nuclear Man, the lightning he gives off is really good. I think it's a decent effect in the film.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Animation's
That's the
really
only thing
good.
That works.
Oh, he's getting attacked by loads of like ketchup.
This lava hot ketchup.
It's a big slush puppy. What's going on?
Look out! And we have to blow stuff up because nothing exciting has happened.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster. Something's got to blow up, all right?
It's hour 50 in and nothing has happened.
You can't have a summer film without anything blowing up.
It's got to happen. Well, see, we have to show that humanity is stronger than the technology it create or something. No, okay, yeah. Probably not.
That's pretty cool. It's good miniature. I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, I gotta say the miniatures in this movie don't look like miniatures.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's just hardly not because it's Superman 3 and you got at the same year you had Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi had such an epic ending with this just like standard affair.
That's a really good point.
You know.
I wonder which was released first. I wonder what the dates were. I think Jedi was before Superman 3. I think it's only like maybe a month before. I may be wrong. I'm gonna look it up.
Find out. I think Superman 3 is like June time, I think.
Return of the Jedi was May 25th.
I'm sure Superman 3 is June. Gotta be.
It's June. It was June. Yeah, June 17th.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's unfortunate. This would have felt maybe a little bit better had it came out before Return of the Jedi.
I think so, yeah. Because, because obviously people were like pumped at the end of Superman 2. It said coming soon Superman 3. Like, oh my god. And then you see, you see Superman, you see Return of the Jedi and you think, oh wow, we've got a great end to a trilogy. And then you go see Superman 3, you're like, oh right, this is a bit poo. It could have been so much better, but hey ho. But as I said, I'll always love this film because it was the first Superman film I ever saw as a kid. I remember. I mean, I think my parents taped it for me off TV, and I was just like, wow. So even with its flaws, it still impressed me as a kid.
I really can't remember what I thought of this when I was a kid. And I think it was one of those things where I saw it, like bits and pieces of it on TV or something.
Yeah,
so
I would
use it with 2. Can you imagine thinking this and 2 are the same movie?
But this is Superman 3 is on UK TV quite a lot. So I think I discussed before with you, like it's on a lot of Superman 3s. Maybe because it's just maybe the film out of all the series, maybe it's cheaper to pay for the broadcast rights, maybe. I don't know.
Probably so, yeah. And people would probably watch it before they'd actually watch Superman 4.
Yeah. I mean, Superman 3 was huge on video, absolutely huge. Because it came out 83, where the VHS was, was absolutely huge at the time, big boom of rental, and it made loads of extra money. I love this bit. It crushes a bit of coal into a bit of diamond.
Really?
It's so silly.
So, I really don't like how they end this off here.
Oh, I know. It gives them a reference, though. You got put out on your resume. You got Superman.
Yeah, and he says, "Nah, that's okay. I don't want that." He's learned nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I hate that.
Yeah. He could have.
I mean, what's the point of all this? Is what I'm saying. How do we know this isn't just going to all happen all over again?
Yeah, because Superman's like, he saved him and he's given him a big favour, like give a job reference, and then he's just gone, yeah, cheers, don't want it. Yeah.
No, I don't need that job. Like, why? Why are we left with that?
It just seems bizarre. It's so like, yeah.
That's the guy we had to follow this whole movie. And if I liked him at all, if I cared anything about him, I don't now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because what he's done hasn't paid off. Essentially, he hasn't learned anything, as you said. No, okay. Here comes the shirt.
What did he think there was going to be a Superman shirt underneath his other shirt somehow?
Yeah.
Just like that. I don't even kind of understand that.
Yeah, no one. It's like that's an in-joke, like.
Like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm best friends with Superman and not actually use the end Superman gave me.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Well, anyway.
He's a useless friend.
He's the only guy that kind of gets a character arc and then they just throw it away.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, it's annoying Ricky. Go away, Ricky. No one likes
Does he really irritate you that much?
He just like, it's just a bit of a pain. He's not as bad as Jeremy. Jeremy's a bit of a pain, actually, number 4.
Well, I can't wait to see what you thought of the kid in Superman Returns.
Oh, God. God, his stupid hair.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that.
And his asthma. Go away, kid.
When we when we do our commentary on that movie, you feel free to just like complain about that through the entire 45-minute helicopter sequence where nothing happens.
I love this scene here as well. He gives her the ring, and now he kind of like, proposing to her in a way.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, don't you wish that they had just made that kind of like a pseudo love story?
I know. You want. I want him to be with Lana, not Lois. She's far more attractive as well. Anyway,
at least do some kind of like, I agree with you, and do some kind of like interesting reason that he just can't stay there and goes back, or even connect it to Superman 2 and have him considering being with her again because of what happened with him and Lois in the last movie.
Yeah. And also, throwing in Brad as well. How do you know where she was? You just followed her,
Because he's a creepy stalker, that's why.
Yeah. Now, it's a bit of a error here. Didn't she say she was going to Bermuda or something, and then she's like in the Caribbean?
Maybe she did both of those throughout the course of the film, because I don't know how much time actually passes in this movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good point, actually, yeah. I'm sure it's like a couple of weeks, I think, because...
Yeah, it can't be very long, otherwise it wouldn't make sense for Clark to be in Smallville that long.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, it's so weird. Lois apparently just had like a way more interesting movie that we didn't see. Got like kidnapped by a taxi driver and all kinds of weird things. And did they give her a sunburn on purpose? Or did she just come in looking like that? Because she looks horrible.
I know, it's like awful like fake tan or something they've just slapped on her.
Yeah, it's really bad. The idea of Lana coming in and living in Metropolis is kind of interesting. I think.
Yeah.
Do that. Bring her there in the middle or earlier in the film, and I'm not a big love triangle fan. Don't get me wrong, but something could have been done with that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's a shame she didn't come back for number 4, but they obviously just wrote her out of it.
Did we really need a payoff for the lottery machine?
No, we did not.
That? I don't think we need that. I don't think anybody's going, oh, that's really neat. They paid off the lottery machine.
Old lady's mad. I'm in love with this machine. She's like,
you gotta go fix the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh yeah. Just because people people walk out the cinema and go, wait a minute, it's still like bent sideways. What's going on?
Yeah, that's the thing everybody's gonna be complaining about. It's like, well, I don't really understand what was going on with that Superman fighting Clark Kent scene, but what really irked me was that he didn't fix the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
I'm giving the film 1 out of 5 now. It's like... I love this bit. It goes ape. Stories all
That's funny. He just breaks all of it. Yeah. And that's how we ended a Superman film. Okay. I guess now anything goes at this point. For all I know, Oliver, they're gonna come back and do some crazy plot where Lex Luthor makes a sun clone, and like anything can happen,
He could get rid of nuclear weapons. Who knows?
He could get rid of nuclear weapons.
Exactly.
He could get buried into the moon.
Oh God, yeah. Great Wall of China might blow up or something. It's crazy.
He might telekinetically put buildings back together. And the Great Wall of China.
That can't happen. That's rubbish. That'll never happen.
You think that's too ridiculous for these people? Because I don't. I don't know, man. You know what? I tell you what. I bet you money that in the next film there's going to be a broken Great Wall of China, and he's going to take his finger with white beams coming out and put it all back together.
That'll never happen. I swear to God.
I guess we'll find out, Oliver. I guess we'll find out.
Oh dear.
That's gonna be a really, really fun commentary.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely.
I've actually really been looking forward to that one. Like, I've been wanting to get through this so that we could do that one.
An hour and a half of hate.
I have a lot more to say about it.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of. We'll get to it, but it's like there are some nice moments to it, but there was not many, obviously. But there's a little segments of like, okay, it's a film with loads of good intentions, but just came out all wrong. Because no one goes out to make a bad movie, and they just got screwed over by Canon Film Company. Was it Alberta? Yeah, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, it was shot in.
Yeah, we better go ahead and put our closing credits in space, since this movie has nothing to do with space.
Yeah, the credits are like Supergirl, aren't they? And of Supergirl, the credits are like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the process. It's a really elaborate end credits. You don't get this anymore, do you? I mean, you just get like boring, like black with white text. Like,
sometimes you get credits like over stuff happening, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the Harry Potter films are quite inventive. I think nearly some of them with their own.
Yeah, some things do that. And there's a lot of horror films that do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's weird. Horror is like the genre where they still do that.
It's like because they've shifted like the instead of having an epic intro, they've moved it to the end for the end credits. But most people just go, right, credits, I'm going, then leave the theatre. Like, the Christopher Nolan Batman films have really like generic end credits, but I suppose it would be a bit out of place if it was a bit elaborate at the end. I
think so too. I think it makes a lot of sense there, and I think for those movies, it's really cool that they open without any kind of credits.
I like it. I like, it's good having, Superman credits with such, care and attention at the end as well.
I don't want them to do that with Superman. I really hope that Man of Steel actually has a credit sequence.
Yeah,
but I guess it's just going to depend on what kind of movie it is too. They could make a film where it makes more sense to jump right in, but
yeah, it could do. But I felt
like Batman Begins was a movie that needed a jump right in.
Yes,
the way it was. I really appreciate, because it seemed, I don't know, it was almost inventive in that film to not have the credits at the beginning. We see it so much now that it's not a thing, but man, in 2005, I hadn't seen that very much.
Yeah, that's true, man.
But, we were talking about Superman 3. Oh, it's over. Yay!
It wasn't too painful.
No, but that's only because I had somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
No, that was a lot of fun. At least doing that with you. I really don't like that movie at all. But,
Is it better than Spider-Man 3 or Batman Forever?
Boy, worse. Don't talk to me about Batman Forever, because I'm in the camp that actually likes a lot of things about that film. But yeah, God, Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 is more watchable just because, like, it's not.
It's got some payoffs with the character. It doesn't like.
Spider-Man 3 isn't that it sits there and doesn't do anything like this movie. It has a different set of problems.
Yeah, that's true. But it's I think we said before, like the Spider-Man trilogy sort of mirrors the Superman film in a way. Yeah. So,
but would I rather sit down and watch like a bunch of really silly scenes strung together with a bunch of villains that shouldn't all be in the same movie and all of that, or would I rather watch a movie that just sits here and drags like this? I don't know. I think I'd put Spider-Man 3 in before I'd watch this again.
I'd think, well, okay, you got Christopher Reeve playing Superman. I'd rather watch that any day than
Spider-Man
3.
But yeah. Enough,
Yeah, exactly. Not enough. Yeah.
For that.
You've always got the skip button. You can always fast forward.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I guess, but anyway.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for listening to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. Really hope you enjoyed it, and Oliver and I will be back, I'm sure, very soon with Superman
4, the quest for money, quest for a decent budget. Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Well, unfortunately, that's a quest where they ain't going to find the Grail. Well, anyway, thanks again, everybody. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Oliver.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.